Okay, so this is where we did a translation, but just at the word level, right? So here are all the languages here: Chinese, Korean, Russian, Arabic, German, up to Spanish. And we did order them by their median here, just to keep it consistent with that initial ordering. So what we've done is we've taken each of the 5,000 words that we have for a language, using Google Translate, just stick it into that, and then translate it back. So just go from between each pair of languages to see if it was translationally stable. So if it didn't come back the same way, then we left it off. But if we had ones that, they translated back and forth properly, then, or at least according to Google Translate, then we plotted a point here. So there is that kind of general big blob here, right? So this is 1 to 9, 1 to 9, and then, so this is the thing, and then each one of these we have the number of words. Like sometimes there's only 2,000 and something here, 3,500 here. So it's between Indonesian and Portuguese, right? Not so many. And I guess here we've combined all of the corpora as well, right? That's true. We've glued all the corpora together. So this, generally speaking, they're pretty good fits. I mean, here are the R-squareds, 0.84, 0.87. I kid you not, I reviewed a paper the other day whose main result, and I read the whole thing, and I'm writing all this stuff, took all these notes, and then I realized that the R-squared for it was, for their main thing, was 0.03. It's very upsetting. Okay, so, but they had a slope and whatever, and it meant this, and you're going to make all this money. It's just like, oh my God, wow, I felt violated. Okay, so these so generally speaking, it works okay. So I think an example we had of where it goes really wrong, because words have many meanings potentially, yes, and it depends how you take them straight away. Lying, I think, went in English to Spanish. I think in English, if you present with the word lying, what do you tend to think? Do you think it's telling an untruth? Sort of, but, and I think in Spanish it turned into like lying down. I don't know, Spanish speakers. The translation was much more benign. So those, they didn't work. They're really different meanings, yeah. So one was telling an untruth, one was lying on the ground. But, and so you'll see, they're the ones that are really off axis. And I know this is a rasterized plot. We did what we could. We should never do that, but it couldn't handle all these points. So, these ones are really off axis, right? So it's very positive here and pretty negative here. And we didn't show these, obviously, but these are all straight lines because it's a language with itself. So this was, a reasonable kind of demonstration. These are just details here. I'm not sure if I need to tell you some. Yeah. Yeah, I think we just did that to. Well, you're translating from one into the other and then back. Oh, I see. It was just. You do the opposite for the. Yeah. Okay. I mean, basically, we could just have the one triangle, but we did this. We did this also just. I mean, really, what we did this for is so you could just look across, right? I mean, we could just have a lower triangle. You're right, but we wanted to be able to say, if you want to look at Indonesian, you can run across here and compare it to the others, because once you take the triangle, then this is the only one that's. Has a full one, and Spanish would be the only one that would have a full row. You'd have to kind of you'd have to do this to piece it together.
It could be slightly different, because you're translating one word and then back.
They go back and forth, right? So if a word goes to, if this X goes to Y and Y goes to X, then that's going to be found starting no matter where you start. Pick up a word that you didn't have, but you're starting with individual words, right? So this individual word here, if it gets translated back and forth.
So you're just looking at what it was when it started off as.
Yeah. Does it come back to itself?
Okay, but you're not looking at the word that it got translated to at all?
Well, yeah. So we find between each language we find words that bounce back and forth with this translation thing that they. Right, yep. Because you can translate into a word and it comes back as something else. Yeah. So the ones that are stable, then we plot their average happinesses against each other. You know, it's obviously very similar when it was like we're saying these are the same word, they mean the same thing, and they don't. So it's going to be rough like that, and most of them are pretty good. There's a fair variation in terms of which words make it between, like how many words translate back and forth, right? I mean, it gets fairly sparse for Chinese actually, and say Korean. They didn't have a lot of stability. All right. So I think these things are mostly extra things that I just wanted to kind of lump in there. Have to see that. And these are all the correlations. Right, and then, okay, that's just sort of notes. And then there's a full set of like all of the jellyfish plots, right? So if you wanted to, you could go and find the jellyfish plot that you're interested in. And we have them on the website associated with the paper. This is also looking at the standard deviation of happiness, right? So this was just to see that not just the average, but another higher order statistic involved with these words kind of held up pretty well. So this is the distribution of the standard deviations for these words, right? So there's some words that people are quite uncertain about, and that tended to have the same jellyfishness and so on. Yeah. We did a whole thing where we translated the words. So these are all plots with translations into English, right? So you could see what the words are, right? So we have that as well. So although this one didn't translate. So if we had KKKK did not translate. I don't know why Google can't do that. That's pretty bad. So if you want, you could see that this, so this is French and this is the word poverty and so on, right? So this is All right, we did all that. Yes, we went out of control. Yeah. But if you want to dive into those things, you can. All right. So it was stepping back from, wow. Building this instrument sort of thing just to look at a kind of what seems to be a fundamental thing about language. And I think it's a good story. And one that people react to a little bit is like, everyone hates everyone. It's not true. But it's not a, we don't want it to be this sort of like the Pinker story, like everything's getting better, it's all good, humans will be great, nothing can go wrong. It's not quite like that.